Alrighty, so there's one more thing I need to show you how to do when you're doing your t-test for dependent means, just because, again, this would come up in the real world of data analysis. And you are also going to be required to do this for your midterm. So pay attention, take notes if you need to, make sure you're comfortable with this. So in our variables over here with this sample data set that we're using, we have our score pre-test and post-test, our major, our age, and we have the group that the students were in, whether they were in the control group that just got the book or whether they were in the experimental group that took the class. So let's say this is the data set that's been handed to me and someone had asked, can you let me know if there was a difference in the pre-test scores and the post-test scores only for the students that were in the experimental group, the students who had the class? And again, I'm going to ask you this on the midterm. So how would we do this? We'd come up here to a select cases function. So we'd go to data, we'd go to select cases. We are going to tell it that we only want to use the cases that are filtered by a certain variable. And in this case, we are going to use our treatment group as our filtered variable. So what this is going to do is that anything that has a 1 is going to stay in our analysis, and anything that has a 0 is not. All right. So our experimental group was 1, our control group was 0. That works out perfectly. If you're working with data that you need to recode first, you would again use that recode function that we used when we came over here to look at were they an education major or not. So we're going to filter by group. We're going to say okay. And what you'll notice is all of these that were in the 0 group now have this little line through them, showing that they're not going to be analyzed in this next analysis. And all of these with a 1 are. And you can see down here in your little taskbar, it's verifying that this is filtered by group. You have a filter on. So now we're going to go up here, analyze, compare means, paired samples t-test. Get this back over here. Our pre-test score is variable 1. Our post-test score is variable 2. Okay. Let's open our output. And what we're going to see in our output, when we come down here, I was playing around, ignore this. When we come down here, we have our 47 that were in our experimental group. And what we see whenever we're looking at our actual results down here with our paired samples t-test is that we did not have a significant difference from pre-test to post-test. And so again, you can double check that this is telling us that our N is 47. We can come back over here to our data and see that within our whole data set, we had 94, which just happened to divide out to 47 to each one. So we can verify we have only analyzed those that were in group number 1, the experimental group, and left out those in group number 0, the control group. So that is how you use the select cases function to only work with certain numbers of your participants. And to turn it off, you just come up here to data, select cases, you go back to all cases and click OK. And you can see now that it's saying that the filter is off. So make sure you're comfortable with this for your midterm.